Hello everyone, this is Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be tracking our next storm system that continues to grow as we'll walk you through the next 7 days. So let's take a look at the overall setup. And this is going to be our developing storm system off the Pacific Northwest that will shift eastbound in the coming days and dive southeast. All at the same time, we're going to have an active subtropical jet that's going to be moving across. Those will link together, setting up a potential snowstorm and some severe weather. So I appreciate all my followers out there. This channel is almost up to 130,000 followers. I appreciate each and every one of you. I put out daily content of this channel. In fact, I've almost had a 1,000 videos. So if you want to be a part of that, it's free to do so. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content, and go ahead and smash the like button as well. It helps more than you know. So let's take a look at the overall setup for snow. This is your snow cover well to the north, and this is pretty significant for early on in the season. And that, even though we don't have any Arctic air in place, that storm system will be traversing across along this snowpack and going to be diving southeast, heading over that snowpack up to the north. So as we go into Wednesday, here's the overall setup. So as we go into Wednesday, here's your overall water vapor imagery. It's going to tap into some of that subtropical jet. There's the area of low pressure they'll be formalizing into the portions of the Rockies, into New Mexico. As it dives further south, that'll pick up some of that moisture down here and then wring it out in precipitation, all rain, and parts of central Texas, heading into North Texas, and parts of Oklahoma, as this storm system will be continuing to grow at that time. So, and it's got its own cold core to it. So this is the temperatures around 5,000 feet. And so right now we're having more of a shallow air mass where it continues to remain on the cooler side. But at the higher levels, we are going to be elevating those temperatures. But underneath that cold core, it's going to have its own system with it. And that, as it continues to grow, it's going to be able to deepen and amplify and continuing to get colder the further and further south it digs. But out ahead of it, we're going to be looking for a chilly rain heading into parts of your Thanksgiving. So here's the overall surface map as we head into Thanksgiving afternoon. I think the rain does start as early as Wednesday, but definitely by Thursday on Thanksgiving, we've got definitely some healthy rains breaking out in a good part of Texas, essentially from North Texas to Central Texas, all the way into East Texas and Oklahoma, heading into Louisiana, back into Arkansas by then, into Missouri, where their snow is just starting to fall in parts of the Rockies and portions of New Mexico. So as we walk you through, there's also going to be a severe aspect of it too. So further to the south, the temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer. It's going to be tap into some of that, more of that Gulf moisture. The dew points are going to be a little bit higher. So we're going to have to be concerned for some severe storms breaking out into the heat of the day on your Thanksgiving afternoon in a good chunk of, say, around the Victoria area and around the Houston Metroplex. And then further to the north, it's just going to be an all rain event where that low is getting closer to that particular system. So as we head into Friday, so when we go into Friday, here's some of the temperatures as we wake up on Friday morning, and it continues to deepen. So as it deepens, it drops those temperatures right at freezing. So that is crucial. So now as the low continues to deepen, anything that falls will be in the form of snow in parts of New Mexico, into parts of the Texas Panhandle, far extreme portions of West Texas, and that could sink as far south as into West Texas as we get deeper into the day on Friday. And further off into the east, it's just going to be an all chillier rain. And then where you see those temperatures back into the 70s, these are low temperatures, guys. That's where we're going to have to be concerned for some severe storms as we head into Friday. So, but here's the setup. You've got that low pressure center dumping some heavier snows into eastern portions of New Mexico and into the Texas Panhandle. It could get as far south as Midland, say the Lubbock area, but it could extend all the way into portions of western Oklahoma. But further to the east, it's going to be all rain. And then further to the south, we could be looking at some severe storms with a little bit heavier rain amounts drifting into portions of Tennessee by then. And that will continue to lift northeast, getting into parts of Ohio, heading all the way up into portions of Michigan here as we head into your Friday. So as we move forward, that was Friday morning. This is Friday night. You see the low, it kind of gets locked up. It doesn't have much steering currents. So literally it could snow beyond 12 hours. In some cases, some models are hinting at more like 18 hours with a steady snowfall continuing to dump in around this same location. So we could be looking at some fairly healthy totals, and we'll go over some of those totals, preliminary totals. But yeah, just a kind of a chillier rain setting up into Friday afternoon, Friday night time frame in Oklahoma. And further to the south, we'll have to deal with some of those severe storms breaking out by then. But we could, as this system will continue to lift northeast, we could have some snow starting to break out in far northern extremes of Maine. So as we move forward, here's some of the ensemble guidance and just kind of pinpoint, say, the Amarillo, Texas area. Now, Amarillo is no stranger to snow. I mean, they typically get their first snowfall December the 5th. So that's an average first date. They typically average about 17 inches of snow a year. So, but when you start to see the European ensembles of all 50 ensembles saying, hey, we've got an over 80% chance of accumulating snow, that's a great possibility it's going to snow in Amarillo. And in fact, it could snow as far south as in the Midland, Odessa area, back into Lubbock. Here's the latest update from the National Weather Service. They are monitoring a potential winter storm going to be breaking out. So right now, I think the snow is more or less into eastern New Mexico. It could reach as far south into West Texas, say the Lubbock, into the Odessa area, but definitely heavier amounts as you pinwheel towards Amarillo into the Texas Panhandle, and it could reach all the way into extreme portions of western Oklahoma as we go into your late Thursday, Friday, and it could wind down into Saturday morning. So as we move forward, there's the low pressure center going into Friday afternoon, Friday night time frame to the northwest of there. That's where your snow is going to be falling. To the northeast of there, that's where the heavier rains are going to be. And to the southeast of there, that's where the severe storms are going to be. And down here further to the deep south, we've got a little bit more moisture, a little bit, you saw the temperatures, they're really elevated, higher dew points, more moisture. So you have a little bit higher rain amounts, but we also have more of a concern for severe storms down in this region. So here's some of the lightning indicators by the time we get into Friday afternoon for parts of Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, heading into Alabama, parts into Georgia, and fishtailing down into Florida. So here's the setup for possible severe storms as we get into your Friday afternoon. This is the area of concern. Further down in the deep south, we could be looking at some severe storms breaking out into the heat of the afternoon. We're talking some higher wind gusts of 60 plus miles an hour. Some larger hail could be associated with this. So definitely have concern as we head into Friday, because that's a big shopping day. A lot of people are going to be out and about and off that day and shopping, after the Thanksgiving, break. So as we move forward, heading into Sunday, there's a system will continue to lift northeast, and as it does, it loses the severe weather aspect to it, and it's going to be just a kind of a light to moderate rain heading into portions of the Ohio Valley, heading along the East Coast back into the Carolinas, fishtailing into portions of West Virginia. We'll be watching another new storm system developing off the Pacific Northwest, with more rain for parts of the coastal regions, but snow flying into the higher elevations up into the Pacific Northwest. So here's the overall track of this system on the ensemble guidance. As it moves inland sometime today, will fishtail eastbound and traverse. Once it gets into portions of, say, Montana, it'll dive south, more or less southeast, fishtail right through the Rockies, go through portions of New Mexico, but really stall somewhere in along the Texas Panhandle. The snow could reach as far south as Lubbock into the Midland, Odessa area, but then the snow will be falling into portions of West Texas and then also western Oklahoma. And then this will be the low pressure with the rain traversing up the Northeast. And then once it gets into the Ohio Valley, and especially as this low pressure center will be setting up off the coast of New England on the wraparound heading into Sunday night, going into early Monday morning time frame, it is going to deepen. And as it deepens, some of this could be some higher wind gusts for sure, but it also could fall in the form of snow on the backside. So I'm thinking just kind of a chillier rain on the coastal regions, but it should be all snow into the northern North New England here area by the time we get into Sunday night, heading into early Monday morning. So let's go over some of these snowfall totals. So I pinpointed the latest European, and this was showing pretty significant amounts yesterday. It's still showing that amount today as it basically just stalls and sits and spins. And these are kind of crazy amounts for areas that average about 17 inches for the entire season. So no, I don't believe these amounts, but this is the European guidance that basically kind of showed the same thing yesterday. But the setup for eastern portions of New Mexico, heading into the Texas Panhandle, portions of West Texas, extreme portions of western Oklahoma could see the snow flying. So here's the latest GFS, kind of implying the same thing, still hinting at some double-digit totals, if not 2 feet. I seriously doubt that's going to happen, but it kind of gives you an indication with some of these model guidance saying if it stalls for 12, 18 hours and it's cold enough to snow, and so it's not going to be rain, it's all going to be snow in this area. Here is the NAM. So here's the latest mesoscale NAM that is now within range from this system, still spitting out some really healthy, decent amounts, up to a foot in parts of the Texas Panhandle. But right now, with this far out, here's the model blend. So if you take all the models of everything, this is probably a little bit more realistic of kind of the blend of what we could be seeing as far as snow amounts into portions of eastern New Mexico, with a good swath to say 2 to 6 inches potential. A little bit higher amounts as we head into the Texas Panhandle. Remember, we had a similar system in western Oklahoma that's had a bullseye of around 7 inches into Elk City just a week or so ago. But this system stalls out. So that had no stalling mechanism to it. So it's the same type of dynamics in play. That's why some of these guidance is spitting out some even higher totals in that particular setup. So, but definitely some snow is on the table. And look, as we get beyond and heading into next week, we are going to finally see a rebound. This whole area has been well below average for what will be 2 weeks by then. And look at this, I thought this was fairly significant. It's still, even with the warm up, it's still hinting that it could be looking at still potential snow on the ground, still up into the Texas Panhandle, even as we head into Tuesday. So that shows you how significant this could be, if they get some of those extreme totals like I showed you some of the European guidance. But what's significant as we head into next week and early parts of next week is we're going to be seeing another trough that's going to be digging in off the West Coast. So that means more snow for that region and more rain, and getting back into portions of California with more rain. So as we head into your Tuesday timeframe, there's the snow line. We'll continue to dive into portions of Utah by then, heading back into the Rockies, probably getting closer to the Denver Metroplex and further to the south, where you have some of those warmer conditions. We could be looking at, yes, more light to moderate rain showers breaking out into Texas again. And then what would be concerning as we close out the month with those warmer temperatures moving back at the end of the month is possibly some severe weather, some severe storms breaking out of this line of storms are going to be moving in. But the snow line should lift well further to the north as we head into next week and be further well into the Dakotas, back into Minnesota by then. But overall, here's the setup over the next 3 to 7 days. So here's your potential snow out in portions of eastern New Mexico, West Texas, the Panhandle of Texas. there's your heavier rains getting into more or less central, southern, north, and eastern parts of Texas, and all along this area. You have to be concerned with some heavier rains, but also some severe storms that are going to be breaking out in that area. But overall, for the rest of you guys, we're looking at some decent heavy rains moving back into play for the Pacific Northwest. But once we tap into some of that trough heading into next week, we got more precipitation coming back for a good chunk of California. So that'll be a welcome sight to end the month of November. But more concerning in the next 7 days are going to be this system where that low pressure sets up over portions of New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle, with some very heavy rain amounts of a good 2 to 4 inches along this area into the deep south, and then lighter amounts as this slips further off into the northeast. And then as we head further in to the New England coast, some of this on the northern side could be in the form of snow as we head into your Sunday night, Monday time frame. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, catch the latest update, where I protect you before and after storm.